Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sun Belt Conference Football Media Teleconference. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. We'll go ahead and dive right into it. We are now joined with Shawn Clark, the head coach of App State. Again, if you have questions for Coach, star one to get in the queue to ask questions. Again, star one to get in the queue. Coach, while we're waiting for that, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, very proud of our football team against East Carolina down in Charlotte. It was big for our program. Getting a chance to play in Bank of America Stadium. Very proud of our fan base. App Nation came down and really showed up, and it was a big boost for us to play in front of fans. Our players fed off that. Again, first game, a lot of mistakes. We had to get cleaned up. We had 2 pre-snap penalties on offense, and we had a few times we lost containment on the defensive side of the ball and got our eyes in the wrong gap, and special teams was just okay. So a lot of work to do, but very happy to come out with a win, and now we turn all our attention to Miami, and it'll be a tall task for us. We look forward to the challenge.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
I know that Chase Bryce is not a rookie, obviously, but he's a rookie in your program. Can you talk about the way he performed?
Again, I'm very proud of Chase to come in here. He got here back in the spring, and he really dove right in, and he will be part of our program. And the one thing that says about Chase is his leadership. I think Chase has done a fantastic job of coming in and earning the trust of our team, and he's really brought our team closer together. I mean, works hard in the classroom, watching tape, and also on the field. And again, he has a lot of talent. And this year, he has a lot of talent around him that he doesn't have to win the game for us. He's had to manage the game and throw the ball to the right person, and he had a lot of success. And he had 1 turnover in the game on Friday night. That really wasn't his fault. That was we called the wrong play for that situation, and that wasn't his fault. So I really like where he is right now. I think he has a lot more room to improve, and we're glad he's here with us.
On a related thing, you had said before the season started that you wanted to try to push the ball downfield and throw it more downfield this year. You averaged almost 10 yards every time you drop back to pass. Did you think you accomplished that in some way?
In some ways. And again, we're always going to run the ball first here, and everyone knows that. But again, we have to be smart as coaches we can't let people get in the box and dictate to us how we're going to call a football game. And we wanted to stretch the field and back the safeties out. And then when they were down there, we're throwing it deep. So kudos to our offensive staff and Coach Ponce of calling the plays. And again, we have a lot of weapons outside, and we have to be able to get the ball in our playmakers' hands.
If I could ask one more, Coach, there's the old adage that teams improve the most between games 1 and game 2. Is it an advantage to have your first game on a Thursday night and have that couple of extra days?
I think so. I do. Again, but I think anytime you put yourself on a big stage, again, we're playing in the Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, and that makes it special. I mean, it does. Getting fans back there, but again, we have a lot of work to do to get ready for this Miami team. We watch them on tape that they have a lot of team speed, so we have to make sure we do our jobs, have a chance to win.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll take a brief pause here, everyone. We'll be on a brief hold, and we'll be back with Jamey Chadwell here in just under 3 minutes here at 10:37 Central Time. So please stand by. All right. We'd like to thank everyone for holding. We are now joined with Jamey Chadwell, the head coach of Coastal Carolina. Again, if you have a question for Coach, please dial star 1 on your phone at this time. Again, star 1 to get in the queue. Coach, while we're in for that, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, we came off a really nice victory for us on Thursday night. We had a second largest crowd in the history of our program, so we had a great turnout there. It was really nice just to get back to some playing and competing. I thought we played well in all 3 phases. Playing a former rival here in in-state. And so it was a good start for us. Got to play quite a few people in some different positions, different roles, and looking forward to this coming Friday. Obviously playing on national television is a huge benefit for us and our program and what we're trying to build. And First time we have a Power 5 opponent coming to Conway, so that's another great opportunity for us and chance to go out and get better and continue to improve. Somebody obviously familiar with Kansas, playing on the past 2 years. Obviously a new staff they have, and everywhere they've been, they've done a fantastic job of winning and getting the culture right. So we know we're going to play a team that's going to be prepared and well coached, but one that we're craving the opportunity to have a chance to be on national television and hopefully play well and represent the Sun Belt. I'll open it up from there.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Ronald Wallace. Ronald, please go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Coach? Ron Wallace with Bowden down south. Nice to talk to you again.
You too.
So you guys coming off that win with all that happened last season, and how do you get your guys prepared not to get complacent? Even though they came off that nice win and what all the things that happened last year, how do you get them prepared and prep ready for the next game?
Well, the main thing that you got to try to focus on, and we share a lot of this, we talk about our team, is it's really about us and us trying to play up to our best and continuing to improve. No matter who we're playing, it's always about Coastal and what we have to do to try to play well. And I think it's natural when you have a good season and then you come out, you get a big win, it's natural to think, oh, we're pretty good and we're playing an opponent we've beaten in the past. But that's a losing mindset. And so we really work hard on focusing on the things that we can control here and more about us and us trying to play our best. And so when you do that, no matter who you're playing, your focus is always inward. And I think when you do that, then you have a chance not to be complacent because you're always trying to be better than you were.
Thank you, Ronald. Our next questions come from Alan Blondin. Alan, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. You thought you came out of the game pretty healthy at the end of the game the other night. Did you? And is there anybody that might not be available for the Kansas game?
We have a couple just nicks, little ankle sprain here or there. But as of right now, we feel pretty good that everybody should be available for Friday night. Now we're going to have a couple guys that might not practice early this week, just to make sure they're completely healthy, but we don't anticipate them missing. So that's a positive.
All right. And have you had will you even check into this, but have you had a chance to see what ticket sales are like, and you have any idea if this thing would come close to a sellout on Friday?
I'm not. I'll let the people that do that make sure focus on that. I hope we can have a lot of people here. Obviously having a first Power 5 team here, and with all the high school cancellations going on as well, there's a lot of football that's being craved in this area. I hope we have a great crowd, but end of the day, we've ran out when there's not been many, and we've ran out when there's been many, so we'll be ready to go.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alan, and we have time for one more with Dan McDonald with the Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach. First game out, you didn't have any turnovers, and it looked like you were remarkably efficient offensively. You averaged almost 9 yards a carry and really only had 3 incompletions the whole game. Could you talk about your offensive efficiency and how good it must have felt to have a lot of those guys back that were so successful last year?
Well, yeah, that was one. We've got some guys that have played quite a bit of ball, especially up front. 4 of those starters have been here a long time. And so you get that, and then with your returning skill players, I thought it was one of our most complete performances. And from that standpoint, when you're playing a team that tries to possess the ball, you got to make the most of your possessions. And we did. I think we scored on 7 of 8 or 6 of 7, whatever it was, 7 of 8 maybe. And but we were efficient. We took care of the ball. And anytime you do that we feel like we have, some really good players, if we can put them in positions to get out and make some plays, then we feel like we got a chance to be a good offense. But it all starts really with that group up front, and they did a good job of giving us time to throw when we threw. And I thought we were able to spread the ball around pretty good. So good start. Obviously, we know we're going to, the competition is going to improve as we go forward. But if we can perform like that, I like our chances this year.
If I could ask one more quick question. the old adage is that a team improves the most between the first game and the second game. You'll have one extra day playing on the Thursday night. Will that be a benefit to you?
Well, I think I think that if there's a benefit, it's more from a recovery standpoint. You get an extra day, like with the team that we played was going low and a bunch of different things, and so I think from a recovery standpoint, for sure, it's a benefit. But at the end of the day, you have 7 days to get ready, or 6 days to get ready, or 7. I think it's more from a recovery. They've only played one game. We've played one game. So I think we're both going to improve in certain areas. More so, what's going to happen, it's going to come down to the same old thing you mentioned, who can be efficient, who can't turn the ball over. And so I do think recovery, because of the team we played first, the type of team we played, I do think that helps us get back to being healthier for the game Friday.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Sorry about that. We appreciate your time. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone can stand by, we'll place everyone on a brief hold, and we'll be back with Kane, Wommack of South Alabama. Please stand by. And apologize for that. And we are actually now joined with Coach. So, Coach, thank you very much for joining us. Again, to our members of the media, it is star one to get in the queue to ask questions. Coach, while we're waiting for that, would you mind start us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, it's good to be on with you guys. Obviously it's fun to be able to go out and start our season off with a win. It's just good to be able to go out and play games. We obviously, when you're in year one of a program, there's so many things that have to be done in order to accomplish the job of getting ready for the first game. And I thought our staff and players did a tremendous job with urgency to get our team to the point to where we could execute through success and adversity, and I thought we did that. We started off with Southern Miss was up 7-0 in the game, and we did a good job of just operating and doing the things that we need to continue to do with a neutral mindset, not too high, not too low, just doing our job regardless of success or adversity. And I thought as the game went on, we obviously executed at a high level in the passing game. I thought we were very physical up front defensively. I did not think that we finished well in the third and fourth quarter. And I think when you think about our program, the things that we have to do, we got to have an urgency and with everybody in the building in order to get where we want to go.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder for members of the media, to star one to get in the queue. First questions come from Greg Stevenson with AL.com. Please go ahead.
Hey, you had four sacks and 4 turnovers. I guess technically one of them was on special teams. But if you could just speak to the importance of those big plays and what in your defensive style kind of leads to that.
Yeah, well, I do think that we are aggressive in nature, and that's why, we never call them turnovers, right? They're takeaways, because turnover implies they gave it to us. We want to imply that we went and got the ball.
I do that.
And I think, yeah, I know. But I tell you, for us defensively, we've always been an aggressive defense, and Corey Batoon and I have both, came up under my dad in this defensive system. We both went out as coordinators individually, and then to be able to come back together is really fun. Just the things that we did at Indiana this past year, that Corey's done the last couple of years at Hawaii, and then went on to Liberty. And so it was really neat to bring some of those things back together, but it's all under the same system. And we've focused on being aggressive, and yet at the same time playing with a vision style coverage where we're putting our eyes on the quarterback, reacting to his vision, and yet at the same time putting pressure in his face. And I think that's why we've seen more sacks, because obviously we're bringing pressure, second level defenders, and sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 5. But when you put that vision coverage on the back end, instead of being in man-to-man coverage like all the old fire zones and man-free blitzes and all that stuff, you're putting your eyes on the quarterback. And so when we do create pressure, the quarterback panics and throws the ball, and we have eyes on the ball. And I think that's why we're creating more takeaways over the last couple of years.
And one more, the inability to run the ball. Where were the breakdowns there? What do you guys got to do better this week going forward?
I thought there were breakdowns in all facets of our offensive unit in terms of running the football. When I turned on the film, I was very pleased with the urgency and physicality from our offensive line to begin the game. We certainly missed a few things, and there's some things that we definitely got to get cleaned up there. I did not think our backs were decisive enough. We created some holes that we did not take advantage of out of the backfield. Quarterback, there's some checks that we missed that we've got to get ourselves in the right situation. And then our wide receivers, with some of the things that we did block up well on the inside, when we had a one-on-one on the outside in space, we didn't block the most dangerous threat. And all those things limit your ability in the run game, and certainly you want to be able to create some explosive runs. We did not do either one of those things.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Our next questions come from Ronald Wallace with Ballin' Down South. Please go ahead, Ronald.
Good morning, Coach. Ron Wallace, Ballin' Down South from the Mobile area. How does it feel to be how does it feel to be back home in a brand new stadium? For first of all, and looking at your progression with your passing, we know it's there, and of course, AL.com is actually about the run game. How do you get your guys to approach the next game, which is on the road against Bowling Green, to adjust being on the road and fixing some of the things that, you guys got to fix to get that running game going so you can be a dual threat team, being able to pass, run, or whatnot? How do you guys fix that for the next game?
Well, first off, I'm thrilled to be the head coach of South Alabama. I was here before as a defensive coordinator. Melissa, my wife, and I fell in love with the city of Mobile. And when the opportunity came to be the head coach here, it was a decision that was made very easy, and it was one that I had made years ago, that if I ever got the opportunity to come back to Mobile, with the resources that have been put into South Alabama football, with the recruiting footprint and the opportunity that we have to connect to the city of Mobile, nobody knows what the ceiling of our program is, and that's probably the most exciting thing about taking this job. When you think about the things that we've got to do to improve moving forward, we talked about this today as a group. Okay, workload with complacent mindset, right, is going to build more complacency, right? If you just are, or if you're comfortable with your mindset and what you've done and you work, you're going to maintain whatever it is you've done, but you're not going to get any better than that, right? If you have workload with an urgent mindset, right, that's where real growth comes from. And we're not a good enough practice football team right now. When we made the transition to going against scout teams last week, I thought we did a tremendous job in fall camp going against each other. But now that we're going some scout team work, back to some good on good work, to some teach periods, to special teams and all those things, right, we're not a very good practice team with an in-week focus. And so everybody has to have a workload with an urgent mindset, and that's how we're going to see growth from our team.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, Ronald. Thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Jay's up and Elliott.
Thank you, Coach. And we'll continue right along. We are now joined with Jake Spavital, the head coach of Texas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, it felt good to be back with college football and just, being in the mix of a great environment. We hosted a Power 5 team in Baylor who, has been coming off some successful seasons over the past few years. And it was just a great environment for our university, our community, and our football program. And it was a hard-fought game. I'm really proud of the effort and the fight of our kids. And it was a very talented team that we played with Baylor. I thought it was one of the better defenses I've seen in a long time. And just with their new offensive coordinator and how innovative they were for just on the offensive side, I thought our kids handled it pretty well. You talk about from a defensive perspective, our kids, they fought until the end with the Baylor offense, and they did a really good job at containing the major plays, containing those backs. And put the offense in position to win the game. Offensively, again, that's a great defense, and we had a lot of ups and downs. Ended up having a lot of injuries up front during that game, and ended up having about 4 starters out at one point during that game. Where I thought in the first half we were being able to move the ball efficiently at times and took the lead and had some quality drives, but then we got in the second half and we lost a lot of our offensive linemen. It was very difficult to be consistent in the run game and keep up with that great Baylor defense that we went up against. But overall, I'm proud of how these kids fight, like I said, and I do think that if we continue to keep getting better, that we got a chance to be pretty good this year. So, questions?
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. I know you said that Baylor had a lot to do with it, but what was there one or two things other than maybe you were short on offensive linemen by the time the end of the game came around? Were there any things that you looked at now that you had the chance to look to see where you can get better in the running game?
Yeah, it was like our offensive line coach, Jim Turner, does an unbelievable job with just putting those kids in the best position, but we just started running out of bodies. I thought that first half, we were being able to hit some run game here and there, and then when we got into the second half, they pretty much played a too high shell the entire game and pressed everybody up on the perimeter. So you took away a lot of RPO options and even deep threats where there's really double teams across the board. So you got to be able to run the ball in those scenarios and those situations. And we just couldn't have any consistency with it. And, I think that, we're going to be a little bit more healthy this week and we're going to continue to get healthy over the next couple of weeks. And then we got a bye week here after our week 4 game. So, I think just once we kind of get those guys back, it just should be able to click a little bit better for us.
Can you assess, again, Baylor's defense had a lot to do with it, but can you assess Brady McBride's performance?
Yeah, I thought Brady, he came out on the second drive and threw a pick 6, which I thought the Baylor kid made an unbelievable play on it. His eyes were in the right spot. He threw it just a little bit behind, has to get it out a little bit more. Which was a thing that we talked about all week, that there could be a potential of you got to beat the guy with your throw, and he didn't on that one. And then he went on to, his other 2 picks. The second one was an ill-advised throw. We were getting some pressure, it was in the second half, so we were having, some issues up front that was causing us to force a lot of scramble drill. And, everybody saw it. The guy was open. He just underthrew it a bit, and that's something that you got to live and die with Brady, because he does have a pretty rare ability to extend plays, and I've seen him make those plays all the time. And then his third interception was a 3rd down and 18 that I told him to throw it up to the end zone, and treat it like a punt. Because they got some really good kick returners. But I think Brady is in a good spot mentally. We just got to help him out a little bit more. I think he's got a unique ability to extend plays and make plays with his feet, but he's playing pretty confidently right now, and I think he's just kind of eager to get back out versus FIU and kind of redeem himself because of the turnovers this past week.
I know you mentioned the schedule. Is there a benefit in that you've probably played the best non-conference team you're going to play, and now you've got your 3 other non-conference games, and then you get a break before conference play starts? Is there a benefit to that you can see?
Yeah, I do, because especially with playing non-conference early, and we are a little bit beat up front right now. We should be able to get those guys back and be ready to roll for conference play. But the taxing game like that, again, you should have seen how big Baylor was. They had 350-pound nose guards and 6'7", 285, 290-pound rushes, and they're just a long, and it's a very combative, and it was a very physical taxing game. So then you move on to the rest of the non-conference, which will still be physical games, but it won't be as physical as that. So that'll allow us to work through some of our issues up front, and just keep getting better as a team and as a unit and building continuity, and then get to that bye week, and we should be hopefully healthy by then and ready to make a run at conference.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time. We're just out of time today, so thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. And we are now joined with Chad Lunsford, the head coach of Georgia Southern. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yes, thank y'all for having me. It was great to get back out and have an opening weekend and get back out and play in front of our home crowd, 100% capacity, and just the ability to kind of feel normal again. Obviously walked away with a win last weekend and thought we played well in the first half. Was a little bit disappointed in our second half performance. We obviously got some work to do, and we want to work to get better. Definitely got a quality opponent this week in Florida Atlantic. We get to travel down there, and we played them last year up here at our place, and get to travel down there. So it'll definitely be a tough road contest for us, and just looking forward to seeing what our team is about on the road. So just excited to continue to play and see our guys play.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach. Our first questions come from Nathan with the Savannah Morning News. Please go ahead, Nathan.
Hi, Coach. How are you doing?
Great, Nathan. How are you?
Good, thanks. A couple questions. One is, can you update us on the health of the team, including, it looked like Marcus Watson Trent got injured toward the end of the game. What's the situation with him and J.D. King and anybody else you want to mention?
Marcus Watson Trent, he had a lower leg injury in the game. We're getting MRIs today to look at it. Right now I don't see him being available for this weekend. Obviously want to see what the MRI shows and all that, but right now we're trying to kind of see where he is, but I don't see him playing this week. J.D. King is still continuing to improve. I think this week, we were fairly certain we would not play him in the first game just to continue to let him get comfortable with things. I think this week it needs to be about day to day, see how he practices, see how he does, before we determine if he'll be available or not for the game. Other than that, pretty much healthy other than the normal nicks and bruises that you get in the first game.
Okay, thank you. One more question. What is the quarterback rotation looking like right now as of Monday, today? How will that be looked at throughout the week?
I think it's still the same thought process. We will play both Amari and Cam at the quarterback spot. We have not determined who will start yet. I do think both played well for their first times playing in a college football game as a quarterback. Obviously, we still have things we've got to clean up and get better at. Definitely neither one played perfect, but both did show some good things. So I think I know we'll play both of them, but we'll have to determine who starts at a later time.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Thank you, Nathan. Our next questions come from Jack Whidden with the FAU Owl's Nest. Please go ahead, Jack.
Thank you much. Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Very well, sir. Thank you so much. I know it's all happening so fast. You probably, did a good deal of watching tape after the Gardner-Webb game, but have you seen any tape from the FAU-UF game? And if so, what stands out from Florida Atlantic going into the Saturday?
I definitely have watched the Florida game. Excuse me. I think defensively, watching Florida Atlantic, a lot of similar guys that played us last year. And I know how tough of a defense they were last year when we played. I know Florida's definitely an SEC school and got really good athletes, good players. But I really see a lot of team speed out of Florida Atlantic and, a lot of physicalness on defense. Just kind of, trying to, kind of get a good feel for it, because I know when you look at the score and you go 35-14 or, but there's some really physical play. There's a lot of good speed and all that type of stuff. So I think definitely the defense is definitely going to be a huge challenge for us. When I watch their offense, they seem to be pretty balanced with run pass. I think the thing that could give us trouble is they do like to jump in unbalanced formations, tackle over formations. They do a good mix of that, and they do a really good job with the split zone and the stretch run play. And then, the quarterback's obviously very athletic, dual threat guy. So anytime you get a quarterback that can run the football and throw the football, I know that serves as great challenges for our defense. So that's my initial thoughts on them. But I think really good talent across the board. I think team speed. It'll definitely be an eye opener for us, going down there, because I do think they have a lot of good talent.
And if I may, Coach, Cam Ransom comes from our neck of the woods down here in Florida. I mean, very, very talented quarterback. I saw him times at Armwood myself, actually. What did you like about him when y'all went all in recruiting Cam to come up to Statesboro? And what do you see him as in the future as a Georgia Southern quarterback? Do you see him as the future, if you will, as the starter year in, year out going forward after this season?
Well, I'll back up and I'll start with the recruiting piece. Last year was very interesting in that, you didn't get to see him in person. And that's hard to do with a quarterback, However, watching his tape, we knew he could throw the ball really, really well. I think the big question mark was what was his quickness and top end speed, being a dual threat guy. And then on top of it, not getting to meet him, what does he have the it factor? Does he have that quarterback qualities that you need to be a Division I quarterback? I'll say with Cam, when he got on campus, he's exceeded expectations as far as coming in. He's still a young kid, but he's really mature. You can tell playing quarterback's important to him. You can tell he's been coached well throughout his younger years. And he's really impressed us, with his work ethic. I think looking back on this past game, I think the thing that impressed me the most about him is the moment wasn't too big for him. He got in on a fourth down play and threw a touchdown pass. And then he got in on a 2-minute offense and took our team down the field and led us to a field goal. And, just managed the game really well. He obviously had his rookie mistakes and issues in the game, and things like that. So he didn't play perfect. But I just didn't think the moment was too big for him. As far as the future goes, I definitely could see him being our starting quarterback. I do think that we've got talent in our quarterback room, and that we have a really a good problem at Georgia Southern. But he does bring a different skill set than we've had here. And then I found out, that he's quick twitch enough to do our run game stuff as a quarterback, and then obviously throws the ball well. So I do think he has a future as a star here as a starting quarterback. But like all our guys here, all of them's got to earn it, and he understands that.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it, Coach.
Yep, no problem. Thank y'all, GATA.
Thank you. And we will continue right along. We are now joined with Butch Jones, the head coach of Arkansas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure. Well, good morning. And, was really proud of our players for our second half performance. It was always great to get the first win against a very quality opponent. UCA is a good football team that will win their share of football games. But, when you really look back, it was kind of the tale of two halves. The first half, we probably played as bad as any team I've ever been a part of. We did not manage critical situations well at all. We had a 3rd and 1 that occurred on the 9th play of the opening drive and couldn't convert. And then we missed the field goal. We had 2 coming out opportunities as a defense to create a 3-and-out and change field position. We weren't able to do that. we turned the football over, and then we didn't manage sudden change defensively. So just about everything that could go wrong in the first half went wrong. But I thought our players showed some resiliency, some resolve. There was no panic. And then we came out and we played more what we expect, more of what we've seen all throughout training camp with this football team, and thought we did some really good things in the second half. A lot of things to build upon. But as we all know, a lot of things to critique and correct and get fixed. You know, we have to take as big of a leap as anybody going from game 1 to game 2. So we're looking forward to it. I tell you what, you talk about quality of opponent. Memphis is as good as a football team as I've seen in a while. Just a complete football team, very senior dominated, very, very physical in all 3 phases, offense, defense, special teams, very, very good team speed. So have a lot of respect for them and what they've built there and what they have, and it's going to be a great challenge, and we have to get better in a hurry.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Luke Matheson with RedWolfReport.com. Please go ahead, Luke.
Morning, Coach Jones. I just wanted to,
hey, Luke.
After you've had a chance to sit down and evaluate the film from Saturday's game, what were some of the things that you saw that you really liked, and some of the things that you saw that you guys have really got to buckle down and work on?
Sure. Well, absolutely. And actually watched it that night. And, you know, it's kind of like what I spoke about is, you know, why did that first half occur? And we have so many adversities, and a lot of those we created for ourselves, and we also played a good football team. But, you know, it's those critical situations, the managing. I didn't like our overall energy level. I really thought a lot of our players had performance anxiety, and speaking with a lot of individuals, I mean, there was a marked difference in the level of play, the style of play from the first half to the second half. And, you know, hopefully we've learned a lot from that. I think these players want to do well so much that, you know, we talk about the process and what it takes to improve every day and play winning football. And I think we got outside ourselves, and we were so consumed in us and wanting to do so well that you know, we kind of let that get to us in terms of anxiety. So a lot of learning lessons, managing of critical situations. But I did think, you know, when you look at the nature of the game in the second half, we were able to run the ball efficiently. We had some explosive plays, not only in the run game, but in the pass game as well. You know, we were able to win third down. We held them to 8% on third down conversions. I thought we did some good things on special teams and our kick coverage and time of possession. We were able to possess the ball as well. So, you know, again, a tale of 2 halves, and we have to build upon the second half, but we also have to fix what went wrong in the first half.
Well, I know you played 2 quarterbacks, Blackman and Hatcher, both. You said Saturday you wanted to take some time to look at things. What are your thoughts on that situation after evaluating the film?
Well, first of all, you know, attribute to Lane that he came in. He was very decisive with the football. He knew where he was going. You know, he got the ball to his first and second, third progressions, and he was ready to go. And, again, that's what we expect from him. That's the type of competitor he is. So, you know, some things, though, we got to do better in terms of just, you know, in terms of our initial reads and some footwork things. But he obviously gave our football team a spark. James Blackman did some very good things as well. I didn't think he was helped. You know, everyone wants to look, you know, kind of with a naked eye in terms of they watch the ball, they watch the quarterback, and a lot of times it's the other 10 individuals around them executing and doing their jobs. And, you know, a lot of times people around James didn't execute their job, whether it was a missed assignment up front or we did not do a good job of handling movements and twist, or the receiver, you know, didn't run the proper depth. And then, you know, I think at times James had some low vision in the pocket. So I think it was a combination of all those things, but a lot of things to build upon, you know, and obviously Lane and the way he sparked us, but I also thought James did some good things as well.
Final question for you. You already talked about Memphis a little bit. What are the big things that if we're going to have a win Saturday night, what do you guys have to do offensively, defensively, special teams?
Well, we have to execute. We have to have the discipline to execute at a high level. and they're going to force you to make plays, and they're going to make you earn everything that you get. They play with a high level of confidence. They play with a high level of physicality in all three phases. And so, they're going to push the tempo on offense. They're going to try to make conditioning a factor. And then defensively, very, very deep. They start 8 seniors on defense. This is an extremely senior-laden football team that's played a lot of football and won a lot of games, and they have a hard edge to themselves. They remind me a lot of our Cincinnati teams that we had back in the day, and just a hard edge in everything that they do in all three phases. So, we have to do a much better job of being detailed in everything that we do. Our style of play has to improve greatly, and then just overall execution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Luke. And thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well, sir. And to continue right along, we are now joined with Terry Bowden, the head coach of ULM. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yes. Again, first game loss to Kentucky. Outcome maybe not totally unexpected. And you can't really read too much into a game like this because of the fact that in looking at the game now that we played, no matter what we did, we were going to be a little bit outmanned or maybe a little bit more than a little bit outmanned. And it may be a little bit expectations awful high to assume we could go from where we were last year to competing evenly with a team like Kentucky. Still, that being said, we played hard. We came out ready to play. We created a turnover first series, scored a touchdown the first series on a short drive, and took the lead. And I'm always looking at the mindset when your team comes out against a Power 5 team like that, especially in your first year taking over a program. I've taken over this is the 6th time I've done that. And all 25 years as a head coach, we're always either paying someone to play or getting paid by someone to play a couple of times in the year, and those games have to fit in accordingly to your thoughts. But we played hard. We came out ready to play, and then we scored on the last drive of the game, which looked like we were still playing hard. In between, they pretty much dominated the football game. And but if you take away four passes, they over 50 yards. They had 4 passes over 50 yards, 2 of those resulting in one-play drives, maybe 3 of those resulting in one-play drives, and the other in a short drive after the long pass play. And that just made the score a little bit worse. It made their time of possession less, but it made their scoring quick. You'd like to see a team like that at least have to drive it down the field if they're better than you. We can correct that. That's when 10 are playing well and one guy makes a mistake with his eyes and you give up a big play, everybody suffers. And so that being said, offensively, they stuffed us pretty good. They were so dominant on the defensive line of scrimmage compared to us on offense that we really could not get past first down. Most of I think 12 of 13 first downs in the opening half, 3 quarters went for 2 or less yards, and that means every down after that is a tough call. And so they just did a great job of dominating that. And again, good things about the game. I think Ty Shelby on defense played a great job at defensive end. Boogie Knight on offense seemed to be the guy that we went to more than anybody else. Kicking game, I was very pleased. We've lost so many games in the last couple of years in kicking game. It was good to see us be fundamentally sound. So much about kicking is not a great kicker or a great punter, but protection and coverage and field position. And we did a very good job in the execution of our kicking game, and we must continue to be very good at that if we're going to win a close ball game or two. We won the turnover battle 3-0. You can't ask for more than that. We couldn't take advantage of the opportunities that it gave us, though. And so when you go into a game like that in a stadium like that, and you play well in the kicking game, you win the turnover battle, and you get beat pretty soundly, you're out of your league just a little bit, and I think that was the case. Didn't have the injuries. I think everybody came out well, so we'll have a week off this week, and then we'll go to Jackson State at home. Open for questions.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach. I know you said that Kentucky had a lot to do with it, but what did you see from some of your running backs that you can build on?
Not enough. I mean, that's not a detrimental way. They are playing as hard as they can. Sometimes when you have running back guy by committee, that means you got a bunch of good ones. We got a bunch of solid guys, but nobody jumps out and makes the play that we need to make. Now, I don't know that you could make it against Kentucky. They dominate the line of scrimmage so much. But I think we've got 3 or 4 running backs. They all run hard. But even in practice or the preseason scrimmages, we've yet to have one really stand out and take control of that position. So I think we're going to have to just continue to let different guys get looks. If one guy can get hot, we need to stay with him. If not, we need to mix it up. And we're going to be a team, I think, at the running back position and maybe at most of our skill positions that have a lot of people that play well instead of one that stands out. Now, that being said, I wish I had one that stood out. But right now, good, solid play from our running backs. Not a lot of holes open for them to get extra yardage.
Again, Kentucky probably had a lot to do with it, but can you give an assessment, any kind of fair assessment on Rhett's performance in a game like that in his first game?
Yeah, I mean, you really can. I think. Did he call the plays? Did he manage the offense? Did he get the ball in the hands of the right guy? Yes, but I think Rhett's a guy that has to go out there and be successful managing the offense, making the right adjustments, checking off to the right calls, and being a success by putting other people in the right position to be successful. So he had a good, solid game, but nothing to write home about. There was nothing that he had an opportunity to do. We couldn't protect well enough to throw the ball downfield. They were able to really mug our receivers on short passes. That we came up with so many second longs that you never get into a play calling situation that's favorable to a quarterback. A 1st and 10, you got to make something happen on first down, because once you get to a second long and third long, your quarterback are facing bad call. None of the calls are really good. None of the calls are great. So, to me, in fairness to him, we fell behind the chain so often there wasn't a chance for him to step out there. He completed over 50% of his passes, no interceptions, no turnovers or interceptions on offense. So we managed to play well, but nobody really played well enough probably to stand out. Boogie Knight, our slot receiver, probably had the best night for our offense and made plays like a veteran that he is.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it. And moving right along, we are now joined with Billy Napier, the head coach of Louisiana. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Well, I think after having an opportunity to watch the tape, the truth is the film is not up to standard relative to what we expect from our football team. We all can certainly coach better, and certainly the players can play better. We need to eliminate the bad football. It's all very correctable. All things that we can control, alignment, communication, pre-snap penalties, fundamental issues, missed assignments. I think overall just more detail, more discipline. We had a good day yesterday with the team. A lot of technical correction there. We just need a little bit more, and I think when you play a team like Texas, you're going to have to be at your best, and we certainly weren't. We can all sit around and talk about the issues. The big thing here is we've got to come up with solutions, right? We've got to create urgency to do it exactly right. Experience and wisdom come as a result of failure, near misses. The things that we've failed at make us stronger. Regardless of the result, you like to take that approach. Whether we win or lose, we always quality control everything that we do. And certainly, there's days when we win that we come in and we're not very proud of the tape. But overall, I think our football team is in a good place. We're chomping at the bit for our next opportunity, which will be Saturday against Nichols in our home opener.
and they've done a terrific job at Nichols. Coach Rebo is an exceptional coach and certainly have had a ton of success in the past and will present a number of challenges and issues for us. So in general here, it's time for us to learn some lessons, move forward, and work hard to improve. And that's where our focus is as we speak here.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald, the Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach. I know Texas's D-line is probably the best you're going to see all year, but once you look at the tape on your running game, what's your assessment of how well your backs did and how well your front line was able to handle those guys?
Well, I think we did a lot of good things up front. I felt like that we got push. We were assignment sound outside of a handful of plays. And certainly the backs, when given opportunities, were productive. I think once the game got to a 2 and 3 score game, we weren't, able to maybe call it with as much balance as we would like. But overall, I think there's a lot of good things, some things to clean up. But I think we're going to be pleased with both of those groups. Texas has some good players, but, I think a lot of our issues have more to do with us than they do with Texas. So, I think there's positives, and then I also think, like most weeks, there's things that we can do better. And we'll take the same approach we always take.
Defensively, was there anybody that sort of jumped out at you when you looked at on tape? It looked like A.J. Washington had a good second half, and Zion Hill was in a lot of plays.
Yeah, no question. Those guys were very productive. I think when I go back and watch the defensive film, on normal downs, I thought we did a lot of really good things. I think Coach Tony had us in position to make plays. Our issues were on third down on defense, right? We got into a number of third down situations and weren't able to get them off the field. And overall, that's what affected the outcome, in the end. So we got to play better on third down. We got to execute a little bit better. A lot of things contribute to that, but we did a lot of good things. Certainly there were a lot of individuals that played hard in the game and had production. A.J. Washington was one of the players of the game for us on defense. So I think you're spot on there in terms of his production.
One more quick question. Status on Farrod Gardner since he had to leave.
Well, it turns out, that it's not a high ankle, which is really a positive. I think his turnaround will be much quicker than expected there. He was walking yesterday. So, I think that turnaround was going to be quicker than anticipated. So that's a good thing. Certainly Farrod's an exceptional leader for us. He's a great communicator and a very productive player. So the quicker he gets back, the better.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for today. We do appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you. If everyone could stand by, we'll be right back with Chip Lindsey of Troy. Please stand by. All right. It looks like we are now joined with Coach Chip Lindsey of Troy. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. For our members of the media, that's *1 to get in the queue. Coach, would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Sure. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys having me. Good start for 2021. Felt good to get back in our home stadium with a somewhat normal crowd and all the things that go along with it. I thought our guys played extremely hard, and we got off to a great start early in the game and kind of took control of the game, which is something we really focused on. Really proud of the way our defense played. I thought we had a good plan and we executed, and really pleased with how we tackled for game one. I think anytime you go into a game one, that's something that's always a concern. So was pleased with that. Obviously creating 4 turnovers was huge. And then offensively, really pleased with how we handled a different look than we prepared for, and our guys adjusted and were able to make some plays in the passing game early to get us a lead and really finish the game off at the end running the football. So that was exciting to see. Special teams was solid. So thought it was a solid effort all the way around. Obviously, we get a really good opponent this week, so we'll have to be a lot better, lots to improve on and lots to work on, typical of a game one, but a good start for sure, and thankful to be 1-0. Questions?
Thank you very much, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with the Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach. What were y'all able to do? It looked like you had their throwing game a lot of concerned, they were discombobulated a lot, it looked like, in the throwing game. What were y'all able to do to create that?
Well, I think early on we got some pressure on them, and made them disrupt their timing a little bit. I think that was a huge part of it early. I think we challenged our secondary, knowing that they had some targets out there and the quarterback was an experienced returner, and we challenged our secondary to play tight coverage and compete on every ball. But I think at the end of the day, anytime you affect the quarterback, I think that makes guys disrupt timing and the route concepts and so forth. So I think that was the biggest key, is our D-line and linebackers pressuring the quarterback early.
I know in the second half you're kind of shortening the game a little bit, especially late, but can you assess the two quarterbacks?
Yeah, I thought they were very efficient. We had the one turnover in the red zone, which was disappointing. Kind of had somewhat of a bad snap that we just made the play worse by trying to throw it, got hit, and got intercepted. But overall, I thought they were very efficient, managed the offense well, managed our checks well in the run game and the pass game. So I think it was a really good start for Taylor. His first time to play in a couple of years, and you knew he was kind of juiced up, but he stayed a pretty even keel all the way through and was very, very efficient. And then Gunner came in and continued to do that as well.
Didn't get a chance to see a lot of it. How did you balance the quarterback play? How did you bring them in and out?
I did not. Taylor started and played until we felt like the game was in hand, and then we played Gunner, I think, one drive there at the end.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. Really do appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. And if everyone could stand by, we'll be right back with we are joined with Shawn Elliott, head coach of Georgia State, so we'll continue right along. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. As a reminder to our members of the media, is *1 to get in the queue to ask questions. Again, *1. Coach, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure. First of all, it's a pleasure to be on first time this year. Looking back, started our season off not the right way. I think any coach or any football team wants to do, and ran into a very good opponent in the Army, and it's one of those days didn't execute real well, and as the old saying goes, it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust for those guys offensively against us. If there would have been some actual real grass on that field, there'd been a lot of dust out there because they ran that dive a lot of times against us. But like I said, it was a tough day. It was one of those days that for whatever reason we couldn't get in sync offensively, and we couldn't hold them defensively. And they're a good football team, and the credit to Coach Munkin and that group. But we'll bounce back. We had a pretty good practice this morning already, and our sights are focused on the North Carolina Tar Heels this week. I believe we played them 7:30 at Keenan Stadium up there in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Real familiar with that bunch. Got some really good friends on that staff, and I look forward to a great atmosphere and a great opportunity to go up there and get a win.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with the Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. Is there a good time to play a team that runs the option, runs the way that Army does with their offense, or is it better to do it the first week?
I'll be honest with you, it's better to not do it at all. I mean, if you want me to be truly frank about it, I think 2 years ago we didn't punt in our game against them in our win, and we had a turnover. And I don't think they punted as well, and they had a turnover. So you have to match them, and it's one of those things where you kind of bleed 1,000 cuts, and it was just what it was. Like I said, it was 2 and 3 and 4 yards, and then they hit us on a little pass there towards the end of the game. But there's never a good time to play them. They're a physical bunch. I mean, it's
it's a bunch that knows exactly what they're doing, and they came down here and did a very good job. Offensively for us, it was just a little bit of being out of sync. We turned the ball over on our fourth play. We're in a pretty good rhythm, and from there they take it down and score, and it was just kind of steamroll from there for whatever reason. But it's not a good time to play against those guys.
Can you really assess your offense, considering that we're only able to run like 48 offensive plays? You've probably run 3 times that many in preseason scrimmages.
Oh, God, are you kidding me? Yeah. We run 3 times that many in every practice, maybe 4 times that many. Yeah, I looked up at the clock, and I think we had run 19 plays offensively, and we were down 21-0. And that's a hard sign. I mean, it just is. We really couldn't get into a rhythm offensively. Ball control on their part, they did a good job carrying it, and they've got a really good defense as well. I think they do a good job. Their coordinators are really sharp, and like I said, you can't really get a good assessment of what we can do offensively. I've seen us in practice for 24 days prior to that first game, and I thought we were really effective in what we were doing. I thought we had a lot of really good things, and I thought we had a really good camp. It was just out of sync for us, basically because of the Army defense and of course that offense that keeps the ball away from you so much.
Have you had a chance to look much at North Carolina, and were you a little surprised at what happened with them over the weekend?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, I knew Virginia Tech was going to come after them and play them really tough. Anytime you open up and it's a conference game and it's up there in Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, you better be ready to play. And in North Carolina, I don't know, they maybe read the papers a lot in the off season and really got the ball game kind of taken to them by Virginia Tech. So I wasn't surprised one bit, but I expect a very, very good football team to come out there at 7:30 this Saturday evening and get ready to play us. I know that.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Coach. Really appreciate your time and you joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this will conclude this week's teleconference. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. A copy of this will be posted on sunbeltsports.org later today and on our social media channels as well. If we can assist you, please feel free to reach out to the Sunbelt Conference office, and we hope everybody has a great week. Thank you for joining us.